I can cut whatever I want.
That's true. Mercy and the Man's back at you. Episode, I don't remember. What was the last one? 19.
But only the second one on video.
True. Only the second one on video. 19 always reminds me of Hey 19 by Steely Dan, which is a song that I like.
I do not know that.
Look, I'm a white man in his 40s, and so I'm realizing that things like Steely Dan and jazz, playing jazz specifically, but jazz and golf, which I did for the first time today, is just sort of fate for me, and I've fought it for a long time. I'm not saying I'm like giving up, like trying to be cool, but like also I'm not trying to be cool either, I think. Like,
let's just say that he's hurting.
well, yeah.
He's hurting and moving slow, and I think that's a lot of things are revealing itself to you.
Yeah. No, I injured my forearm, which was
it's not injured, it's just
overused. Sore,
overused.
but it's nothing makes you feel old faster than a golf injury. It's not
well, let me ask you this, would you be able to play drums tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how injured am I really? But I also played drums with a broken finger, which I don't recommend. That was a softball injury. I broke my finger like the night before, or maybe 2 nights before a gig, and that was not fun. And then when I got a splint for it or whatever, then I had to still perform. Well, I didn't have to. I could have not, but then I wouldn't have made money. So I had to change. I normally play match grip, although I did learn and come up playing traditional grip, but I don't generally play traditional grip for loud music. This is my
I'm going to also stop you. Can you explain? I don't know what that means.
Ah, yes. Well, match grip is when both hands match, basically. So the sticks are held like this, like that. Traditional grip is like what all the old jazz and marching drummers, and I did learn this because I marched. But that's where the right hand is like this, and the left hand is like this.
So underhand, one hand is underhand, kind of.
It's like this, yeah, kind of this.
Instead of like this.
Yeah, not this, not this. But the whole thing is like, there are some drummers like Stuart Copeland from the Police and Vinnie Colaiuta and Dave Weckl and some of these guys that are like world-class drummers who can get a lot of power, consistent power out of traditional grip, but it's much harder, I think, to do that. And I was not used to it, so I was trying to play these like loud cover band gigs with a splint on my finger and trying to like, play like basically 3-hour, with a break, but like 3-hour sets. And that was one of the first times I really felt like humbled by like, because I don't get injured that often. So when it happens, it's like I also don't get sick often, but when I do get sick, I'm a total baby. So it's one of those things like I don't think about it until it happens, and then when it happens, I'm like can't fathom that I would be injured or sick or whatever.
Well, performers are the worst for performing on injuries. Dancers, singers, musicians, I think, are the worst for that. We play through pain. We're conditioned to play through pain and discomfort and illness, especially as a dancer. And I'm not saying that that's the way. Do not do that. You shouldn't do that if you want longevity in your career. But I remember, doing dance shows. I used to be in a dance company, and we had a chiropractor backstage that would like be adjusting us between numbers to get us through. And it's like, oh, like it was great that we had care, but also like horrible that we're working through severe pain to on with the show and not taking care of our bodies. I dealt with that's kind of a good way to lead into, I had to relearn my vocal health routine this past year. I think 2025 was the year of relearning vocal health, learning a good routine for warming up and singing. I was dealing with a lot of allergies, and turns out I have GERD, which is a fancy word for severe acid reflux. Yay, getting older and being a Latina that eats spicy food. Um,
Yeah, you like
and
to eat
it
those like hot sauce dipped chips at like 11:30 at night.
it's great. It's great. Jalapenos with my popcorn. Um, and but that was another thing, and that really, really, you know, last year during the summer turned 46, and all of a sudden this thing went like, oh, I've got to be careful and really take care of my body and my especially my voice, because it talk about identity crisis, and I was panicking, and I know, let's talk about how you have to deal with my panic attacks, with which legit I haven't had a real legit panic attack. When I say panic attack, I just mean I was very heightened
Yeah.
and anxious. um Luckily I have a great team. I have an ENT that I see regularly, and she's very well versed, but this was the year that I went to speech therapy.
Right.
I it was recommended to go to a speech therapist, and I relearned how to speak, how to warm up. Man, I have a whole thing now, and it's become really funny. I should do one of these episodes. I should do what's in my gig bag. It's ridiculous. What's in my vocal health bag? Um, but I have this whole list of things now that I do. Speech therapy was one of the best things I've ever done. I came home excited every time and told you all the new things I learned, and just learned how to had to relearn singing. And I have kind of been doing that too. I've always had pretty good technique, even though I'm not a technically trained singer. um, but really learned about breath control and breathing and proper warm up and cooling down. I've never cooled down after a gig. I've never cooled down my voice ever in my life. And so here at 46, started to like learn new habits and everything. And I'd like to say that that has cured everything. I don't think it has. I do also think that we were performing a lot, and so a lot of it was just also fatigue. And but you know, there was no nodes, there were no lesions, there was none of that. And my ENT laughed because I wanted to get scoped all the time. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you're gonna find something now. And she said, your chords are pristine. You have pristine, healthy chords. You're just tired. And that was another thing of like, well, how am I supposed to take a break? How do we do that? How do I get a break in there? And the time that we do get a break, which is kind of now, the slow season, I don't want to be off. I would be working if we were booked.
Yeah, you can hire us. We're not trying to take time off. Just,
But just to say that, like I really had to rethink everything about singing and warming up. And I have my steamer and my nebulizer and my Dr. Vox bubbles and singing straws and like all that stuff of how like it's not like when you were young and you used to just, oh, I want to go play football, I'm going to run out and play football. And now if I want to play football, well, I'm not playing football, but if I wanted to, I would have to warm up for like 30 minutes before I even thought about playing anything. I mean, same now for performing and stuff. So it's been a journey. 2025. Woo.
yeah. I'm lazy. Like I hate warming up. I hate like I've gotten into like if I go to the gym, I have a little active warm up I do. But I spent like back when I was in shape a couple years ago. I weightlifted for like a year, and I was feeling pretty thick with two C's, and I went out to play softball, and I did my normal kind of just whatever, pretty quick warm up, and first at bat, like drill a line drive. I feel like I'm like, okay, all this weightlifting, like I like smoked the ball, and I got halfway down to first base and pulled my quad. Like first at bat of the first game of the season. And after that, like I had to, luckily I have like one of my best friends is a like a fitness guru, body movement guru. He's currently Charlie Reed. You can look him up. He's in Nashville now, but he's also a Bay Area cat, and he's currently doing kettlebell juggling.
And it is exactly what it sounds like.
Yes,
It is
it's mesmerizing, really.
amazing.
It's not for me. I would kill myself doing that, but for him, you know, he's done Russian circus, ballet stuff. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, I could call him up and be like, "Hey, this happened. What do I do?" And he gave me like this, 30-minute active warm up. So then from that point on, when I'd show up to softball, like I'd warm my arm up here, just throwing into a net, so that I could go to the field and do 30 minutes of like active warm up, so that I don't pull a muscle.
And the same thing applies with singing.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is for me, like I'm a drummer first and I was a background singer. I keep reaching for things. I haven't quite settled in. It's fine. I'm very antsy. That's what I do. This could be a hashtag ADHD moment. Um I didn't even really used to warm up enough drumming wise. I've gotten better at that because it does make a huge difference, or it has started to make a huge difference for me.
I also think Will was a good uh, example
Yeah.
because he very much takes his warm up and everything very seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
part of
good.
the problem for me in the earlier part of my career was that like I just wanted to hang and be social and drink and party, and like even though I was being paid and hired to play, I was playing with all my friends. And so like, it's
Right.
like, oh, whatever, like 10 minutes before we go on, I'll just grab a pair of sticks and just kind of swing my arms around. But doesn't really cut it, especially these days. And the thing is also during those years I was mainly a background singer. So like the amount of singing that I would do um versus now, and also the style of singing, like the way that I would use my voice to sing background vocals versus the way I have to use my voice to sing lead now is different. It's a
Yeah.
completely different thing. And quite frankly, honestly, weirdly, it's like if you don't keep up on both, like I found, I feel, hashtag I feel, that like as I've gotten more into lead singing, that my background singing hasn't been quite as sharp. Like I have to work harder to find notes or figure out intervals and stuff. And so
Interesting.
I've had to go back to like when I'm listening to music, going back to singing the harmony, because I've switched to like, well, I'll sing the lead because that's what I'm doing now.
Right.
But also, even though I didn't really take care of my voice back then, and granted I was younger, but I think the style of singing, being a background singer and all that, like there was so much more room for error. Not error, error. Also, I was putting a lot of air into my background singing so I could blend. But I also had vocal trouble over the last year and probably year plus. And that's another thing I've had to really like start to come to terms with, is like I'm slower to adopt techniques and tricks and whatever. Like you're the research guru and the one that's like, I found this new device and this person blah blah, and I'm just like, whatever, I'll just kind of hum a little bit before we go on, it'll be fine. But like same thing, I've been dealing with GERD. I have no impulse control, which is also an ADHD thing. But I want more coffee, and I want more, booze, and I want, more of this, more of that, whatever. And with how often we perform, it's like I would blow my voice out and then not get any time to rest,
Right.
and be constantly kind of aggravating things because I'd have a little bit too much coffee, or I drink red wine when I shouldn't, or whatever. And then you're dealing with that all week, and then you go into a weekend of gigs. So no bueno is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is with you can't we have adopted better habits, I think, of like I don't drink before gigs anymore. I don't drink the night before gigs. If I'm gonna have alcohol, at least I try not to. But that stuff like accumulates over time. So what you have this week is going to mess with you and come up next week, 2 weeks. The dietary thing for me that's being really hard for making changes is, it's just all the things I like. It's like, oh, you have to eliminate caffeine and chocolate and tomato sauce and garlic and onions and just about everything, it feels like. And I had a really bit of a, like, again, the identity crisis of like, well, just revoke my Mexican card, why don't you? Like, if I can't have hot salsa anymore and like be sweating and have a runny nose, and is it even worth it? Is food even worth it if it's not that way?
I
Um,
haven't had to make that bargain. That's not a problem I deal with.
but for me, like, oh, I better not have that piece of pizza, or I can't have the spaghetti anymore. And making these types of changes has been hard, but I've been like eliminating a little bit at a time, because I know that that's what I need to do. But man, it's hard. We've definitely slowed down on the alcohol. Like, that one ramped up pretty good on us. I think we've been doing pretty well. We haven't had a completely dry January, but we have had a very, like, very laid back, and I'm not mad at it. I've already noticed, some chiseling back in the cheeks, um,
Yeah,
fitting back in my jeans a little better.
that was a hard one for me, only because alcohol is so associated with socializing for me, and a lot of my social life over the years has also been music.
I mean, but
And
yeah,
so like because you're not exaggerating, like the I used to just like kind of like, I don't know, what I'm trying to say, like get through it, I guess, or be like, oh, it'll be fine, whatever. But it's like I can't. There's no denying now that like having a drink, especially before like the first set, or
yeah,
like having drinks before we start at all, it's just the immediate like negative effect on my vocal is like undeniable. And unfortunately, another thing I like to have right before gigs, for whatever reason, I'm not really a big soda guy. Like, I'm not a really big juice guy. I drink a ton of water. I'm always hydrated.
he always has a water bottle on him.
Yeah. That's the only way though. If I leave the water bottle, I immediately, it's like I've been in the desert for 3 days. Um, I love to have a cold Coke, like cold Coca-Cola right before going on or whatever. I don't know, it gives you a little pep. But that's the same thing. Like, it immediately closes my voice up, my throat up. So like all these
Yeah,
little things where I'm like, I mean, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but it's like it is that people tell you, like, older people have told me, or I've watched it, I've experienced it, where they're like, this will happen to you too. And I'm like, not me, man. Not me. I got an iron,
you don't know me.
I got a granite disposition and an iron body and whatever. And it's like, nope. Like, if you don't eat right, if you don't stretch, God, if you don't drink enough water, like all these things, like the most basic of things that all of us are just kind of like, man, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
It does show up in your 40s, maybe in your 30s. For me, it was definitely like late 30s, but mostly 40s. It's like I hit
Yeah.
41 or something like that. And was like, nope.
Yeah. It's been a thing. It's been a thing, but I've definitely I have adopted some habits of, especially day of, I've got this, I have a little caddy for my water bottle, my tea, my electrolytes, my Dr. Vox bottle. I nebulize, I steam, and if I steam, the whole thing is you have to steam early enough, because then you can't speak within an hour of steaming. So I have to plan everything out so far now. And but a lot of it is also like, we love to talk, and it's also trying to not talk during the breaks. And especially, we like to go see our friends play, we like to go to out and hear music, and it's getting in the habit of not yelling at each other to be heard, and just avoiding talking at those things, but also just not talking on the gigs. And it's so hard. I'm sitting there, and that's why I use the nebulizer a lot, because I can't talk if I'm using the nebulizer. So that
Yeah.
just reminds me to, like, the biggest thing of all that I've learned in 2025 around all this stuff was mindfulness about singing. Like, visualizing my singing, being mindful of the way I'm connecting with my breath, how I'm connecting with my whole body, and also bringing back the joy of reminding myself. And I've talked about this before, and I've talked about this a lot in the last 2 years, is we love what we do, and I love singing, I love performing, but it is a job after a while, and especially when we're heavy into wedding season, and I can get fatigued, and I can get uh burned out. And there's the moment of like, did I take a moment for myself right now to, if I wake up tomorrow and never am able to sing again, did I enjoy this moment? Like, and just have these moments during gigs throughout the year. Every gig I take that moment, and it just resets me and makes me feel mindful about like where I'm placing my breath, when I'm taking breath. Am I um hitting the note? It's not even all about the notes and the right notes, but just like bringing my full self into the space. And then that always reminds me to just sing better. So really it all comes back to just being mindful about it, and not taking it for granted, not um just phoning it in, and but like actually like really being an active present participant while you're doing it.
It's certainly a choice. I struggle with that because I think I struggle with that anyway. Like I've struggled with that throughout my whole career of just kind of like once you're on stage, like I'm super present in the socializing and all the stuff beforehand and networking and whatever. But I think even going back to like my early days when I first started doing gigs, it would just feel like it took me forever to settle in on stage. I didn't have any mindfulness practices or, and like I said, like I have like ADHD and these other things going on that I just kind of will just be like, floating somewhere else, thinking about something else while I'm playing. I'd have to like really like try to be like intentional about like, hey, you shouldn't be thinking about you shouldn't be thinking about your taxes right now because like you can't do your taxes right now. Like nothing about your taxes is going to be solved right now while you're in the middle of this song. And also like it does feel like sometimes like some of those gigs just, and I'm talking about even before our band or whatever, like just kind of go by and are just gone.
Right.
And I think you don't worry about it at the time because you're like, I got so many years of gigs ahead of me. And we still do, but like you
Hope
start
so.
to, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't have. But you start to, you do get, I mean, I don't mean people that are older than us are going to be listening to this and being like, you guys aren't old. But I think that, like you start to have that realization of like, oh, I should like treat this like with the respect that it deserves because it is a special thing to be able to do what we do.
No, it's a
And
blessing. I mean, there was a moment, you know, we do a casino gig quite often, and it's not the most rewarding in the moment. you know, it's it's a place where there's not a huge audience, but we're being piped in through the whole casino. We're on screens, and again, you'll never, if I'm not present on a gig, something's wrong. Something's really off. And like that, it's one thing that you and I have talked about a lot. And you're always saying like, no matter what, you're always like at 100. Um, but that's a good example of one where there was a moment where my mind started racing, and I'm thinking about tomorrow, whatever. And I'm like, nobody else in here can do what I'm doing right now. And if I squander this moment, it's like I'm squandering it for all the people that wish they could be doing this right now. And I'm blessed enough to be here. And how lucky am I to be here? And how great does it feel to be moving my legs right now? And even though I'm tired, like how lucky am I to be feeling tired while I'm doing this? And it's just taking those moments and just remembering that yes, it's work, and yes, it's what we've decided to do. But that we still need to bring the joy, and still need to bring that curiosity, and that playfulness to it. and not become jaded, because it's so easy to be jaded in this industry, and we're around
Yeah.
that so much.
I mean, we went to a jam night at our local one of our local bars slash I guess venue. I mean, they have a stage and sound system and lighting. I've never been to a show there, so to me it was kind of like I don't know what they normally do there. It's a quarter note in Sunnyvale, if you're wondering.
Was just
Um,
last night.
just last night. The thing is we got invited out by a buddy, and I went up and played a couple songs, and should have had you up to do something, but I don't I don't know what.
It was
It
fun.
was our first time there. I don't even know how it works. I didn't even end up playing the song that he told me we were gonna play, so whatever.
Hmm.
But I think what I took away from it, and this is why I'm bringing this up because it ties into what you're talking about, which is like it's a room full of singers, musicians. Well, I guess singers and musicians too. Some of y'all are musicians. Some of you just sing. I'm just kidding. Uh, it's a room full of people that like that might maybe that's not the only place they play, but if you're at a place like that on a night like that, it's because you're seeking out like an opportunity to perform and
Practice, get hours in.
yeah, and I didn't feel like a need to play. I didn't feel like a need to, I would have been fine. I went there because my buddy wanted me to get up and play with him, which was fun. But I guess I was struck by that. And I'm thinking about that when you're talking about trying to like stay grounded and be, uh, grateful for what we get to do. Because I'm sitting in that room last night watching people go up and play and, like, I'm
Trying not to judge from a professional
yeah,
musician
not be critical,
standpoint.
like that's not how that goes. Wrong chord, rushing, whatever. But I'm thinking about like, well, shoot, how lucky am I? Like some of the people in this room would kill to do even half the amount of performing that I do every
Yeah.
year that I get paid for. Like the 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 micro like the device that's filming us right now is paid for by music. Like
Right.
everything that we have, everything that we do more or less is paid for by art, by music, by performing, by recording, by teaching, whatever.
Yeah.
um and I think I can definitely get a little cynical sometimes, and I definitely get a little judgy. I got opinions, and I think probably there's anybody out there listening would be like, yep. um but it's like and I think normally I might even turn my nose up a little bit at the idea of going to something like that. Like
Not
I
you.
don't like to do karaoke, you know.
He does not like to do
Uh
karaoke.
I used to when it was an opportunity to like hang out with a bunch of my friends and that was what we were going to go do. And if I thought it was going to potentially get me laid, I
I
probably
did get him. Well,
you
I
didn't get me
I
laid.
didn't get you laid,
Yeah.
but I did get get you up to sing karaoke a couple weeks ago.
I will always sing karaoke with you.
Mm.
Like partly out of obligation and partly not. No, I like singing with you, and to be fair, karaoke is an opportunity to do songs we don't normally do and not
Right.
take it too seriously or whatever. But like I don't
Seek it out.
I I have a weird imposter syndrome with it, which isn't really fair because I'm not the best singer in the world. Sometimes I'm not even the best singer in the room at karaoke night. Like I remember I used to go. Um, there was a bunch of karaoke places in San Francisco when we lived there.
Yeah.
Um, and some were way more like drinking, social, whatever. But there was a place kind of near my neighborhood. It was called the Mint. I think it was called the Mint. Probably still there. Little dive.
Yeah.
But again, right next to the Castro.
Yes.
And so you would get people between that and Martuni's, which was the piano bar like across the street, basically.
Right.
You get the people all coming in doing musical theater, doing coming up and doing freaking like the hit, not even the hit, like doing Wicked and stuff, and like some of them were
Nailing it.
nailing it. Some of them thought they were nailing it, but they were taking it very seriously.
Right.
And I would go into those. People would invite me out, and I'd meet them out there, and we'd go to those places, and I would just be like, I can't. I cannot get up there and do something serious. So I'd go up and do, Van Halen or Danzig or like Believe in a Thing Called Love by the Dark. There's something ridiculous. because I'm just like, I don't
Although
feel,
it cracks me up that you say like something ridiculous. You do the darkness so good. You like I laughed the last time we went. Like anybody knows room. We went to Fred's, which is our favorite neighborhood dive
we
bar.
didn't know it was karaoke night.
The funny thing
In
is we
fact, it wasn't
no
karaoke night until somebody came walking
till
in.
I screwed up and I jinxed us because
Yeah,
I sat there
it
and I
was your
looked.
fault.
It was I looked behind the bar and I said, oh, "Good, no karaoke tonight. Karaoke is on whatever night. They don't have karaoke on Thursdays or whatever night we ended up in there."
Yeah.
And we're sitting there talking, and then in walks you see the guy walk in with the speaker, and we're like, "What? No!" And we're like, "Oh, great!" But who was the first person to go up? I think it was me. Was it me?
Well, to be fair,
To
first
be
of all, the
fair,
karaoke guy,
he was pretty
DJ,
good.
karaoke DJ.
Karaoke
I
host.
don't know. Yeah, the host. I think that's the preferred nomenclature. Um, this tea is good, but I think I'm drinking a little yerba mate because I feel a tad bit sleepy. Well, I don't know why I'm telling you that. I don't, people, if you're listening to the audio of this, you'd be like, "Why are you talking to me about tea?" If you watch the video, keep drinking it.
It's okay.
Whatever. Um, hashtag tea. Hashtag Megan Slagard. Hashtag Numi tea. This is not Numi tea, but um, yeah, I
Karaoke
don't
host.
think it was. If it was supposed to be karaoke night, it wasn't advertised. So
Right.
this guy walked into a fairly empty, brightly lit bar
Yes.
and set up, and he was singing because nobody else was.
Right.
That's why you went up, because you were like, this dude is trying, and nobody wanted to sign up, and so you kind of broke the
We
seal.
are those people.
Yeah.
We definitely will like I mean, there's nothing worse than being the solo artist or the duo artist, and you know, you're hired to do a job, or maybe you're even just working for tips or whatever. And you're trying to get out there again, you're trying to get hours or whatever, you're trying to fill the calendar, and in the slow season, and then people just like walking by like they don't care. And so when you see the host and he's like there for a reason, he's trying to get people, and I was like, all right, here I go. I can't remember what I did.
Funny. The funny
But
thing,
anyway, what I was getting
yeah.
at is like you're like, then you go up, and you're like, okay, fine, and then you do thing called love and freaking nail it. And I was just like,
Well, there's only one. There's
whatever.
only one way to do that song, and if you're gonna do it, you better do it right. Uh, yeah. Don't like do it right or don't do it.
But you're like one of the only guys that I know that can do it.
Thank you. Uh, it is a funny thing though. I was just thinking about this when we were telling the story, but you were telling the story specifically, and I was thinking about how jaded I am and other musicians are, to where like you would think that like musicians that we would be like just so stoked and connoisseurs of performance no matter what, and it's like we are, at least the ones I know. Maybe I'm hanging around with the wrong musicians, but these people are my friends. um it's like if we're at a bar or we're out someplace, and we're just hanging, and somebody comes walking in with a PA system or an instrument, or a DJ like, or like whatever, people start setting up audio gear. It's like you start planning the exit. You're like, how quickly can I get the bill and get out of here before somebody starts, performing?
Well, that's like, I mean, I remember the last time we were in Tahoe for a gig, and we were looking for a place to go after, and we were like, oh, let's go here. And then we drove up and it was like live band. And we are like, nope. And we could not find a place to go, and we refused to go there. Part of it was because we had just played for 3.5 hours, had a really long day. And it's like, we don't want to go in and hear all the same songs from a bar band. It's just,
Yeah. Well, I
and
mean,
it's
yeah.
that thing that you talk about though too. There's a difference between, and listen, I'm the one that will all like, generally I'm the one that always wants to go, and I don't care who's playing. I love music. I love songs. I love singing along. I love dancing. So me, I'm the one that's the easy hang in that sense. Like I'm the one that's going to go. I'm the one that knows where everybody's playing, or all our friends are playing, and I'm the one that leads the way. Not that I have to drag you to our friends, but anything else, you're like, nope, I don't want to go. Nope. Wait, a band's playing? Nope. Like out. And you just kind of got to categorize it, and I don't mean any offense to anyone, and it's the thing that we talk about all the time, though. It's like not everybody gets to be in a working band, like, and there's so many of these people though that like they're weekend warriors. They get to play on the weekends, and that's great. But then they want to kind of like do that thing where they either big league us or try to be on the same level, and it's a little, I don't know if it's fair, but it can kind of feel a little insulting because it's like, no, we are not on the same, we are not on the same path. We are not on the same
Yeah.
level professionally. And but it feels like this thing of like, oh, well, we're all musicians and everything. And it's kind of like, no, that's not how it is, and that's not how it works. And it's
Part
no different than me. Like, I wouldn't go into somebody to Apple and go, well, like, I have a Mac. I'm, aren't we all on the same level here?
yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a little of that. And I think we've become so accustomed to being judged, to be like that we kind of like, we have a little bit of defenses up to a certain extent. And it's like a little protection.
Well, yeah. I mean, part of it is like
Maybe I'm
the
just trying to protect you.
no. I mean, I'll speak to it, which is like part of it's the devaluation, devaluing, whatever. Um. Oh my god. The de the devaluation, whatever of like live music. Like we have a lot of friends that go out and perform solo, at wineries and restaurants and bars and whatever, like our friend Clay Bell or Bray from Neon Velvet,
In
um,
the dens.
and the Dens, um,
New Moon Monday.
yeah, the
Jeff
Duran,
Subaru.
yeah. I mean, we got tons of colleagues that,
Natalie Hawkins.
yeah. If we didn't name you, it's not because we don't think you're good. It's just um, I would listen to them sing the phone book. I'd be, if I rolled up and somebody like that's playing, somebody who's like really, really talented and competent and has put the time in, crafted a song book, understands how to approach a lot of different, um, you know, setups, like, cause you can't perform the same. Like if it's a quiet, seated dinner, or whatever,
Right.
you have to perform a certain way. If it's a loud bar, you got to perform a certain way. If you're out on a patio, whatever. So those people are that's their profession. They're great at it. But a lot of places don't want to pay what it would take to get those kinds of people to come in and play.
Right.
You know, if and the difference is if I go like downtown Sunnyvale, because this happened, same thing happened. When we went downtown Sunnyvale. It's kind of how we found the dive down there that we like, which is
Yeah.
we're gonna go next door, and they had a band in there, and they're playing all the songs everybody plays,
I would have stayed.
but they weren't doing them well, and I'm just like, I don't, I'd rather hear a bar band just hack out like taking care of biz, just like something that I can just like yell. Like I don't want to hear you do like Dua Lipa poorly or Bruno Mars poorly or like anything poorly. But if you're gonna do it poorly, then like just do some dumb rock and roll that's just like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna drink my beer, and they're doing,
Right.
BTO or whatever. So that's kind of where I come from with it. Like if I'm sitting and so in that circumstance, I'm sitting at a bar, we're having a night out, and we're chatting and whatever, and then somebody comes in and sets up karaoke. It's like, now I'm gonna listen to everybody's, because they're gonna go up, they're all gonna pick the same song. Although people pick some wild stuff. The last couple times we've been at karaoke, there's been stuff I'm like, they have a karaoke track for that.
We found what I think is our good karaoke place nearby. I went to the funny thing is I was going to a mom hang. It was karaoke. All of us gals were going. There was like 10 plus of us. And I wanted you to drop me off because I didn't want to have to worry about driving. I didn't drink, but I just didn't want to drive. You dropped me off and you ended up at karaoke night where you were going, not realizing that where you were
I
meeting up
got
with your friends.
karaoke ambushed.
But you came
It
and
was
got,
at the quarter note.
right. And you
Yeah.
came later to get me. And I was like, come, come my way. And we had one of like some of the best singers. Like, there was that older guy that was singing.
Yeah. Yeah. those guys are cool as hell. Like there was like an old like country western guy,
He
but he
looked
was
like
doing like
Sam Elliott
yeah, and there was like some. So the bar you were at was like the Blue Max Lounge or something like that,
in
and
Sunnyvale.
yeah, and I walked in and I'm like it's a fairly young crowd, like young to our age, you know.
Well, because you got there late. Like there had been a very very big demographic before you got
Oh,
there.
okay. Well, by the time I got there, the older people were gone.
Yeah.
And they're doing karaoke, right? And then, but it's just like these two cool old dudes who are just like, one of them was doing like crooner stuff, like Sinatra or whatever,
Hmm.
and just killing it. And the other guy was like, yeah, looked like Sam Elliott and like was singing like Willie Nelson and stuff, and just
But he sang some. Was it a Petty song, Tom Petty, or was it Van Halen? He sang something, and
he
then
sings,
you were blown
yeah,
away. But then I had sent you a video earlier on in the night of some guy, and I took it for granted. I didn't look up, and it was some country song that we like. I can't remember what it was, but I look up, and I was like, "How does this 21-year-old know this song?" And I even
right.
sent you a video
He was
of
still
like,
there when I got there.
yeah, and he
Yeah,
was great.
yeah, he was
He was
good too.
singing like old traditional
Yeah,
country
which again,
stuff.
I'm like, how do they have like David Allen Coe
That's what
in
it
the
was. He was singing
You Never Call Me
You
by
Had
My
Never
Name?
Call Me
Yeah.
by My Name. And I swear to God, he was like early 20s and nailed it. Knew all
Yeah.
the like parts and everything. And I was, oh, it
But
was
that's the I
hilarious.
mean, those kinds of people though are the people that's their hobby. Like you see those people all over in different things. There's like the pool hall or the bowling or the karaoke or the whatever that they're just like that's what they do. They're like twice a week or whatever I go out. And like a lot of times they're not even drinking or anything.
Yeah.
They're just sort of like there and like drinking like a soda or a water waiting for their next chance to sing or then a chance to play pool or whatever and it's just like I respect it. Um, that's not how I roll because I'm usually in a bar to drink. But
Well, the
yeah,
funny thing too, that kind of goes along with that in a certain way is that was one of the this has been a running joke. I have been recognized almost daily the last like um couple weeks of December into January, and it kind of became a running joke. And I remember when I got out of the car when you dropped me off, I was kind of like, man, I hope I don't know anybody here. Meaning, where am I really close to my hometown? I went to school in Sunnyvale when I was younger and stuff, and so it was kind of like that thing, like I hope I don't run into anybody. I kid you not, I walk in and immediately somebody says they recognize me. Turned out he didn't. I think he was just I don't know. I'm not assuming, but I thought he was just trying to hit on me. But he thought he knew me from somewhere else. But he did say, like, do you go to Walnut Creek often? And I thought, oh man, he recognizes me from dance bar, but it wasn't that. But right after him, literally, he walks away and immediately somebody else walks up and says, I recognize you. And I'm just like, oh my God, here we go again. No, I didn't, whatever. He's like, you're Mercy from Mercy and the Heartbeats, we follow you. We went and saw you in Morgan Hill. We went and saw you in San Carlos, like, all this stuff. And so it's like also a good reminder is like something that got brought up yesterday is one, how we show up in the world. We're being recognized more and more out in our community. I was even recognized, remember I told you like
local legends.
in Belmont, I went to get my hair done and I got recognized walking down the street in Belmont. And so I'm like, we're starting to like get a name, like we're starting to be known and like be seen out in the world and everything like that. But one, we have to be careful when we go out because we are recognized. And how many times have we been out and we've been at shows that we just happen to go into a bar or whatever for a drink, there's a band playing, and then someone will come up and go like, we know who you are. How, what are you guys doing here? What do you think of the band? And we're like, we can't show emotion on our face anymore when we go out
They
because
suck.
because people are watching us watch other bands, and it's been happening more and more when we go out. That's happened. The other thing is like yesterday for the jam thing, you dressed nice and it was made into such a thing. I was so defensive for you because it was like, to me, you weren't dressed up. You were dressed up. When we go out, we put, it's called effort. It's just, I
Sorry,
don't go out like this generally. And it was, you were not dressed up. And so I was just kind of like, what if But what if people do recognize us and see us? Like we just like to put in effort and always have our best foot forward. And it was just so like, and then that's the problem with some of these bands too. Like they show up to these gigs and they don't take it seriously. They show up and they're like in board shorts, which don't get them
Well,
started on the shorts thing, but like
funny because I was thinking about that because the same person, I don't know if I've ever shouted him out on this podcast or not. I probably have, but well, I probably have because he's the reason that I really have a session career or that I got into like being paid to play music. But the same guy, you bring up the shorts, which is something we wanted to talk about. But the putting in effort into your appearance, you know,
on and off stage
on and off stage, that's something that I really got from my buddy James DePreto, who is just one of the best guitarists in town.
and
And
super fashionable.
he didn't used to be though. Like he and I were both. No, I mean like,
Not always.
well, he'll tell you. Like you look back at old pictures of us, like we kind of like had this parallel fashion thing where we would each sort of like find a new thing we liked, and the other one would be like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna do a little bit of that too." And there was just a point after he joined Chuck Prophet's band, who's Chuck is also very fashion forward, fashionable guy, where James just like went to this next level of fashion of just like expensive stuff, but really nice stuff, and like and the way he like would mix and match and whatever. And but the thing is he looked like that when I saw him, whether we were on a gig or in a studio session or hanging out or just running into each other. Like he dressed like that all the time
Right.
and always had his hair done, whatever. And I was like, I get a little lazy, you know, I was like, whatever, throw on a t-shirt and some jeans and a hat. But um, you know, it's uh, the older I've gotten, funny enough, the more I've kind of been like, nah, if I'm gonna leave the house, like I've given up in the house. Like I wear like just, I don't put on jeans. Like the second, I'm like Mr. Rogers, dude. I like walk in the door
I'm
and
gonna put my comfy pants on.
yeah, I walk in the door and like this, it's almost like now I can't have jeans on in the house. Like if I'm gonna leave again shortly, I'll leave them on, right? But like if I'm gonna be home for a few hours, I'll change out of my jeans and into comfy pants. Like I don't, I'm not proud of it, but that's where I've gotten.
Well,
But
this is literally what I live in at home.
yeah, which is fine. But like out in the world, you know, like last night, like I had like fashionable jeans and shoes and a denim vest and a cool t-shirt, and then I had like a bandana kind of like thing and some stuff on my arms, and it was like
You were so being I was so
slightly understated for me, honestly, you
it
know.
it was that's the thing. It was and it but I was getting so like I'm not going to be that wife that needs to like go to bat for you all the time. You're a grown ass man who can defend himself, but I was getting so like bristly cuz I was like and he said something actually addressed me directly when you walked away and I was like, "Here's the thing. Like we like to show up, you know, just a little like with a little effort. Like it doesn't matter that he's playing. If even if he wasn't playing, he'd be dressed like that. Like he puts effort in. We take pride in our appearance and that's
Yeah,
just us,
yeah,
and everything. And it was like it doesn't I don't care what you're in. Although like could put a little bit of effort, but like, again, that's the thing though. Like you go see these bands and they're like, "Oh, we're just playing a bar. This is how I'm going to dress." Or I'm just playing the street fair or art and wine. I'm just
there
going to like
there
and it's like
there is a band in town who I won't name, who I think is really good. Uh, but they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. At least one member of the band does,
mhm.
and that they I think are a little they got a chip on their shoulder because other bands work more than they do playing private events and whatnot. But every time I've ever seen this band, they're wearing shorts on stage, t-shirts, like it looks like they're at rehearsal, but they're on stage.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, there's levels to this,
Yeah.
you know. And I have said this not just about this band. It used to be when I did a lot more like original music gigs, playing with artists, you know, being hired to back them up or whatever, that they wouldn't put any effort in. It'd be like me and James on stage, like decked out, like really like accessories and all this kind of stuff, and then like playing behind somebody who's like in like loose fitting Levi's jeans and like a shirt or just like
Right.
no thought about what shoes look like or anything. And it's just like you don't have to spend $1 million to look like $1 million. It's one of my favorite lyrics, it's Brothers Osborne. But like it's true,
Yeah.
and even if you're not a like super fashionable person, you can ask for help, whatever. But like whatever it means to you to look like you put some time into what you're wearing, make like people judge with their eyes. They listen with their eyes a lot,
Yes.
you know, and that's why you get frustrated sometimes where you're like, this band, they're not. Why is everybody blah blah? And it's like, yeah, but they do look good, you
Yeah.
know. But that like people will get a lot out of the way you look,
Yeah.
and
That's true.
if you're not dressed up like that or you didn't put time into that, then you better be really really good, you
Yeah.
know.
That's true.
But anyway, yeah, so this band, it's again, I'm not gonna say who they are and I'm not trying to pick on them, but it's like
But
every time I see them, I'm like, okay, cool, like you guys sound great and I love the songs you're playing and everything. You're doing something that not everybody else is doing, but like you look like you couldn't care less.
yeah.
Like, and it's like, yes, you are playing the patio at some restaurant, but
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like you gotta. It's that whole thing of like do it do it with intention. Show up 100%.
Well,
I
and
mean, and again, it doesn't have to. To what you say. There's been times when I've done gigs with other bands where I've been a sub, and they'll be like, um, one set you're gonna wear all white. I'm like, I don't have anything all white. What do I do? I went to Goodwill and got a white cocktail dress for $5, and nobody knew. No one was the wiser. For New Year's, I wanted a new dress, and I'm a member of our local Buy Nothing group, and I was like, hey, anybody have a cocktail dress that they're tired of, but still has life in it that I could wear? Somebody gave me a brand new cocktail dress with the tags on, and I didn't have to pay for it because they were like, turns out I'm never gonna wear this. And so like, so like you can do even things like that. I recycle stuff all the time. I upcycle stuff all the time. But like again, even if and part of this goes for me, I've been doing this since I was really young, and I had the guidance of my parents that they instilled in me like you never know who's going to be there, you never know who's going to be in the crowd. And the one time it was a really hard lesson, we were going to the show, and my mom was like, don't you want to dress, you're not very dressed up, and you're really casual, and aren't you going to put on makeup, whatever. And I was like, no one's going to know me, and I don't have to go out like that all the time. And of course I'm there in a
is that Jaquelynn?
it was no, it was worse. It was me in the audience, the band on stage, and in the middle of the performance turned the spotlight on me and asked me to stand up and take a bow. I
Take a
was
bow.
mortified. And they said
Probably
maybe I
made your mom's day
it
and
made
night.
my mom's day, I'm sure. But also, and I have to I appreciate her for this. I was wrong, mom. Can we go to the bathroom? Can you switch tops with me? And do you have lipstick and mascara in your bag? And she saved me that night, so I didn't feel like a total scrub.
Yeah.
But that was a lesson learned, and I was like 15, so like that is a very like strong lesson to learn at that time. So it's like that's never going to happen to me again. It just won't. So like a lot of times people will think I'm overdressed at things. But I remember that feeling. I remember it like it was yesterday. It happened at Club Rodeo.
Oh wow.
And it was it didn't used to be called Club Rodeo. It might have been, but it was a Latin music club at the time.
Is it Club
And
Rodeo or Rodeo Club?
well, it called it Club Rodeo.
Oh,
But
to make it sound more fancy.
that's what it's called before. But
Eventually, they flipped the words and it was just Rodeo Club,
yeah.
which is the club I would go to.
It was like Club Rodeo or something like that.
Gotcha.
But I'll never forget that, and that stuck with me, and I've carried it you know into my life now, and how I like to show up. And I mean, you'll never see it. Like, how many times have people told us we could dress down for gigs, and it's like the most dressed down I will do is like black jeans.
No, I mean,
And then
I mean,
it's
part of
still
it,
like sparkles.
yeah, part of it is like putting on my stage gear is like kind of like putting on Superman's cape in a way. Like it just locks me into what I'm doing in a way that if I'm not doing that, I lack that edge or whatever. But it's also like weirdly. I mean, I know we alluded to this, and maybe we'll close the podcast. This, I mean, we didn't talk about anything that we set out to talk about. But it's fine. Um, Maybe we'll end with this, which is the shorts on stage thing, which we were kind of talking around, and it came up a couple times. But like, I also will tie it to like, I went golfing again, like for the first time today, so. And I was Googling, like, because I was just going to a muni course, like a public course. Like, they don't generally have strict dress codes, but I was
Right.
looking it up because some places are like collared shirt, tailored pants, golf shoes, whatever.
Right.
Um, Luckily, this wasn't that because I didn't have any of that stuff. I don't have a polo shirt. I don't have tailored khaki pants. I'm not taking my Zara dress pants out there. Um, but yeah, early on playing with James DePreto, like years and years and years and years and years ago, like it came up a couple times, like no shorts on stage, no shorts on stage, no shorts on stage. And at first I was kind of like, I don't really, why is that a thing? Like, I'm not saying I'm going to wear shorts on stage, but why is that a thing? He's like, it just doesn't look cool. Like, you cannot look cool wearing shorts on stage unless you're in like a metal band or
Yeah.
something, like you got to be in or a punk band or something where it's like you're in all your like black gear and cut off like that's a thing,
But
right?
even still, it's not
But the
like
whole
they're in.
genre is casual.
But there's still even like it's usually still cool vibe. It's still
Yeah,
like the whole.
it looks like it was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it came up a few times, and it just got then just instilled into me. It was just like a running inside thing with us. And recently we've seen in like a couple posts with people talking about it, people that do content about bands or whatever are talking about it. And it was funny because you immediately forwarded it to me because you've heard me say it so many times. I think one time we let our drummer wear shorts, and it was because it was like 105 degrees,
Yeah.
and it was a pretty casual kind of thing. Um,
Also, he had like he had fitting fashionable shorts also in the sense that he it wasn't like
he's also playing drums.
yeah, he's already sitting down, but and everything. So you're not seeing that. I don't want anybody to like it to be the death of them of being uncomfortable and everything like that. And it was pretty cash, but he still like checked in with us about it first and everything. And we were like, okay, it's
Yeah,
fine. But like
but I
oh, we'll have to talk about the Googling
yeah, that's for another
costume.
podcast. But the I just think like the sort of like squaring the circle moment is thinking about dress codes like golf and this stuff. And I'm not for gatekeeping. I'm not like a gatekeeper where it's like, well, you can't get into this club because you don't have the proper attire. That's like not my vibe at all. But there is something to be said for just instilling a basic like expectation of like the whole thing with golf. Some of these like bigger private courses and stuff is like they want to provide a certain experience, so everybody being sort of forced to dress to a certain level like elevates this experience,
Right.
if you care about that or not, right? Like, and it's the same thing with music, where it's like, or any kind of like performance, but specifically for us because we're musicians, it's like it is a visual medium as much as it is as a audio, yeah, medium. um and I can't help it, like when I see people that don't put the effort in, um it just immediately I kind of check out, or immediately
Well,
it
because
goes,
it goes back to you listen with your eyes.
yeah,
So you can tell you can see if a person took enough care. Like if you didn't care enough to show up and show out, like why am I supposed to care about what you're doing? Like if it doesn't feel like you even put in any effort past like that, then like it makes me not really like want to put the effort in to be there and be present and shout you out or whatever. um there's been a lot of bands like that though, I think. I mean, more bands than not, I think have a cohesive look. I think it can get pretty lazy, and we have a whole bunch of opinions around like the matchy matchy thing. I get though also why it can be really really hard to get everybody to match a sort of fashion thing, and we've come and that's come up in the last couple
Yeah, we've
years.
softened on that where we're now like, black with these accents. If you don't have those accents, then just
Just
wear
go,
all black,
yeah. It's kind of hard to trust other people and what their idea of fashionable is, and everything, and still be cohesive. But I still like to celebrate everybody's individuality,
Yeah,
one of
either.
those.
Yeah.
um and I try to be open to like everybody bringing their vibe in. um and me, I don't really have to worry about it so much, and like a lot of, ugh, I think a lot what we did the past 2 years, especially too, is that you and I would be coordinated, and we just be like, just being all black, and you and I would be coordinated, and that would be fine. And we kind of solved it that way a little bit. Um, but yeah, I just think again, it's the thing of if you want to play with the big boys, you got to show up looking like the big boys and everything. Because if you have the sound, that's the only thing that you're lacking. Like, just it's not that hard. Show up,
Yeah, there's
put
more than
effort.
one way to skin a cat, like you don't have to get super expensive clothes, or you don't have to be like super fashion forward and do like crazy combinations or whatever. But like a step up from shorts and a t-shirt and Vans or whatever would be a good start, you know.
But he's not going to mention the
Yeah,
band.
just how I feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, all right. Well, our second video went down. If you want to hear any of our other episodes, if you've made it this far, you can find us on all the other streaming platforms. They're all audio only. I've been thinking about putting them up on YouTube just with photos, or something like that, if people want to listen to them that way. But we're on other streaming platforms. We've talked about the start of the band. We've talked about our history of being musicians and how we grew up in music and everything like that. So if that's something that anybody's interested in, and we still have to do the final episode of the mud burn or whatever they call it.
Yeah, Mudman,
Yeah, Mudman. And
burning mud.
but yeah, we have a lot of stuff that we want to talk about in the next couple episodes. And again, any questions, email them to us at mercyandtheheartbeats@gmail.com, and we'll see you later.
Toodles.
You said that you found me, but you know